Okay, so you know that feeling you get, right?
Yeah.
Like right before you fall asleep sometimes, and you get that thought that pops into your head that you really don't want to think about.
Hmm.
But it's like right there. It's that question of World War III.
Right.
It's like unsettling, but also strangely fascinating, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what we're diving into today. We've got this document that lays out all these like potential scenarios for World War III.
Yeah.
It's basically a blueprint for thinking about global conflict in the years to come.
Yeah, it really is. And it gets pretty deep.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff is
Yeah.
heavy.
It is. And our goal here isn't to freak anyone out or like send you running for a bunker or anything.
Yeah.
It's more to just help you understand like what are the forces at play
Right.
in our world today?
Right.
Like what are the big questions that experts are actually grappling with?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it because it's not about predicting the future. It's about understanding the possibility.
Exactly. So let's start with the big picture when it comes to like how World War III could actually happen. The document lays out two main paths. One is a direct conflict between superpowers. So, think US, China, Russia, that kind of thing. And the other is that things could escalate from a smaller regional conflict.
Right.
What do you think about those two scenarios? Like, what jumps out at you?
Well, the document makes a really interesting point. It highlights that historically, those smaller conflicts have often been the trigger point for major global wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, think about World War I. Like, it wasn't a clash of titans right away. It was an assassination in Sarajevo that set off this chain reaction.
Right, just like the domino effect.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
today, the flashpoints could be anywhere. They could be in the South China Sea, Eastern Europe, the Middle East. There are a lot of places where things could ignite.
And I think what's interesting, too, is that the whole alliance game has changed. It's not as simple as it was during the Cold War, with like NATO versus the Warsaw Pact.
Right. We've got groups like NATO, which most people are familiar with. But then you've got these rising powers like BRICS,
Oh, yeah, BRICS.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And they represent a huge chunk of the world's population and economic power.
Right,
So their actions in a crisis could be incredibly influential.
totally. And, speaking of influence, the document digs into this whole idea of how the battle for resources might play out. I mean, we all know oil and gas have been sources of conflict for decades, but what's coming next? What's on the horizon?
That's where things get really interesting because the document suggests that resources that are crucial for technology, things like water lithium for batteries and rare earth metals that go into pretty much all electronics, these could become the new flashpoints for conflict.
Whoa.
Yeah. Imagine a water war in a region that's already struggling with drought, or nations vying for control of the lithium mines that are needed to power all of our, electric vehicles and smartphones.
It's like a whole different kind of resource war than we've ever seen before.
Exactly. It's not just about fuel anymore. It's about the building blocks of our entire technological civilization.
And that brings us to technology's role in all of this, which is honestly where this document takes a truly fascinating turn.
It really does. I mean, it delves into this whole world of cyber warfare where battles are fought not with bombs and bullets, but with lines of code.
Right.
And think about it. You can disrupt infrastructure, spread misinformation, cripple economies, all with a few keystrokes.
It's kind of terrifying when you think about how powerful that is.
Oh, absolutely. And the document even talks about the potential for autonomous weapons systems.
Like robots.
Soldiers. Yeah, basically. Like robot soldiers on the battlefield. I mean, is that something we could actually see in our lifetime?
I mean, it feels like science fiction, but
It's closer than you might think. A lot of countries are already developing and testing autonomous drones and ground vehicles.
wow.
But here's what's even more mind-blowing. The idea that a nation could develop an AI-powered war strategy.
An AI making the decisions.
Exactly, one that's constantly adapting and learning, making it almost impossible to defeat.
I mean, that's a pretty chilling thought. It makes you wonder about the ethics of it all. Like handing over control to algorithms in that way.
For sure. Like, where does human responsibility even factor in at that point?
Right. And then there's the human cost of all of this. Like imagine the refugee crises if major cities become war zones. Or the psychological impact of AI-generated propaganda that's designed to manipulate entire populations.
Oh, absolutely. And the document talks about how those lines between the physical and digital worlds are going to continue to blur. So you could have like hacktivist groups playing a really significant role in disrupting war efforts or even influencing public opinion globally. It's a level of interconnectedness that we've never seen before.
So basically, anyone with a laptop could become a player on the world stage.
In a way, yeah. And that brings us to the final and perhaps the most daunting question. What does the world look like after World War III?
Yeah, will the current global order be completely upended? Will new superpowers emerge? Will corporations become even more powerful than nations? It's crazy to think about.
It really is. And the document doesn't give us any easy answers, but it does leave us with this really provocative thought. Could World War III, despite its horrific nature, somehow pave the way for a new era of global cooperation?
Like, could it be the ultimate wake-up call?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
could it force humanity to finally confront its self-destructive tendencies and find a way to work together for the common good?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. For me, the biggest takeaway is just how much technology is changing the game. Cyber warfare, autonomous weapons, AI, it's all happening now, not in some distant future.
And it underscores the importance of understanding these developments, not just for military strategists or policymakers, but for all of us.
Yeah, everyone needs to be aware of this stuff.
Because in the end, technology is only as good or bad as the humans who wield it.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So listeners, we're leaving you with that thought. Which of these scenarios resonated with you the most? What questions does this raise for you about the future? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know what you think.
And until next time,
Stay curious
stay safe.
and keep exploring.
Bye.